name's Luke Baker. I am the program manager for capital and investments within ClimAccelerator. I'm going to try and act as master of ceremonies for today. We've got a great agenda, which I'm going to run through now, kicking off with Amy from our strategic programs team. So Amy also takes the role of gender mainstreaming lead within ClimAccelerator, and she's going to talk a little bit about gender mainstreaming and entrepreneurship. What we'll then do is we're going to then move into the investor panel, where we're going to get introductions from 4 investors that we have on the panel today. And then we're going to get into the main show, which is our startup pitches. So we have each startup will have around 5 minutes to pitch. And then we'll have 3 to 4 minutes of questions from our investor panel. So some housekeeping to start with. You'll see on the right-hand side, there is a chat. Feel free to raise any questions that you might have throughout the event. We have a team from ClimAccelerator that can assist you, as well as all the startups that will be able to answer questions as we're going through. You can also start individual conversations within the people area within the platform itself. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Amy. Over to you, Amy.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for the introduction, Luke, and nice to be here. Excited to be here. As Luke mentioned, I work also in our strategic programs team in entrepreneurship, and I'm working in our gender strategy team as well at ClimAccelerator. And some of the work that we're trying to do is create a platform and a stage for more female entrepreneurs to be present, represented, and to talk about their climate innovations. And one of the ways we're doing this is by helping accelerator programs themselves focused on climate entrepreneurship apply a gender lens to their program from the inside out. We've developed a handbook for this called the We Climb Equally Handbook. If you're interested in learning more about this handbook, you know a program or an organization that can benefit from this, feel free to reach out. You'll see the information in the chat on how to do that. But really what I wanted to talk about today was to highlight that out of the 9 entrepreneurs presenting, we have 8 entrepreneurs that are women. And so this is not typically what you'd see at an investor demo day, and we'd just like to see more of this, and we'd like to see equal representation on the stage. So really exciting, and the reason why it's so important is because the awareness around this topic is out there, but the numbers representing this are not representative of the awareness that we have. So just in 2021 alone, of all of the fundraising and capital that went into startup innovation, it was a record year in terms of the funding. Only 0.7% went to female-led businesses, so less than 1%. It's pretty dire, and we'd like to change that, and the handbook is one of the ways, and also being an example today. So congratulations to all of the representatives today representing your companies. Wishing you a great day of success and networking after this. And yeah, thank you. Let me know if you'd like to get in touch.
Thank you, Amy. Some awesome work that's been going on from you and within ClimAccelerator, and yeah, we're super proud of the small steps that we're making in the right direction. So I'm now going to go into introducing our investors. So I'd like to first introduce Andre. Andre, are you up on screen? There we go.
Hi guys, hi everybody. Thank you, Luke, for the intro. Nice to meet you, everybody. My name is Andre. I'm the community manager at Grow Channel Angel Investment. We're a platform comprised out of 110 angel investors spread across Europe, looking to invest in amazing early stage startups. We're focusing on, or we're on the lookout for those great teams building digital products across any kind of industry.
Thank you, Andre. I'm going to ask Richard to come up next.
Sure. Pleasure to meet you guys. I work for Redstone. We're a European venture capital firm. In total, we have 10 different funds that cover everything software related, and we invest from pre-seed stage to Series A. Tickets range from 250K to 5 million. And yeah, pretty much agnostic and love to support founders at an early stage.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Richard. Arne, can I ask you to introduce yourself?
Hi, good morning, everyone, and glad to be here. Thank you for the introduction, Luke and the other investors. My name is Arne. I'm part of the investment team at Astana Ventures. It's a Brussels-based impact VC investor that is looking at early stage and later stage startups that are trying to provide a solution to what we found to be broken agriculture and food technology system. So we tend to invest what we call from soil to gut, where tech meets nature. So hope to find some interesting people and glad to be here today.
Awesome, Arne. I love that. Clifford, if you'd like to take the stage.
Yeah, thanks, Luke. Hi, everyone. My name is Clifford Bollicup. I'm currently investing in early stage startups in Europe and in India that are focused on climate technologies. I've spent the last 2 decades of my career working on climate change, and I'm now really looking to help startups that have a strong climate thesis to be able to get off the ground and grow. So look forward to this conversation and look forward to hearing from the companies.
Fantastic. Thank you all. As you can see from the Climate Kick side, we still need to do some work on our diversity within the investor side. I think it's a well talked about subject, and plenty more work particularly from a capital investments perspective on making sure we get a more diverse group of investors involved in these investor days, involved in these demo days. But without further ado, I want to introduce the first startup. I had a look at what they're up to, and they are Vienna Textile Labs. So Karin, if I'd like to invite you to the screen, we will get kicked off.
Yes. Hello. I hope you can see my slides.
Yes, we can.
Yes, very good. Okay, I can help a bit with diversity today. So welcome. My name is Karin Fleck. I'm from the Vienna Textile Lab, and we're wondering in the Textile Lab how we can improve the textile industry, especially the dyeing process, but also the manufacturing of dyes, meaning that everything around dyes and pigments in the industry has a low sustainability, poor health effects, but also the companies who produce these dyes have basically a monopoly worldwide. And we at the Vienna Textile Lab, we believe that we can change that. Our solution are microbial-based dyes. So basically, biology is creating the dyes and pigments, and they are more circular. They support zero waste. They increase the biological diversity, and of course, we will not pursue compounds that are toxic. Our vision is a bio-based value chain. That means we use microorganisms to produce chemical compounds that can be then used in the industry and used to dye yarns, fibers, and textiles that are then worked into a final product and can be then recycled. And we try to use underutilized feedstocks in order to feed our microorganisms. How do we do it? So we have quite a huge collection of microorganisms directly from nature. We investigate them on their biotechnological capabilities, so can we upscale them, but also on their chemical capabilities, like are they toxic or not, and also if they work on textiles in order to have similar properties than synthetic dyes. We then purify them, we upscale them, we purify them, sell them to the industry as dyes and pigments. The market is of course, a large market. It's a big textile industry, but also like there are 3 million tons of dyes produced every year. 99% of them are synthetic, and this is like a 30 billion euros industry. We think that the market in 2030 would be around 40 million euros worth that can be opened by microbial dyes. Our go-to-market strategy since 2019, we have projects and co-creation projects with designers, but also with industrial partners. And we're now working on creating our own yarns and textile, but also already starting to sell dyes and pigments on the market. This is what we want to accomplish by 2025 as a full product, and eventually license out the technology to large companies. We have a very good traction. We have been contacted by over 100 clients of the industry, so that are dye manufacturers, fiber, yarn, and textile mills, integrated fashion companies, but also chemical companies. And we have more than 15 projects running, closed, but also continuing over the next few years. Our impact is we improve the biodiversity, so we even discover new microorganisms. We are helping our clients to transition to circular economy, but also reduce the waste in the manufacturing of the dyes, but also in the dyeing process. And also we detach from the typical sustainable supply chains. So who are we? We are a team of 100% women by accident, and we have experience in entrepreneurship. We have business development experience, but also international management, and of course, biochemistry and chemistry. And we have a strong network of universities and creatives and business that support us. So the opportunity that you're looking at is we're seeking at the moment 700,000 euros for our first investment. We are founded in 2017, have by now 7 employees, are at TRL 5 to 6, have a patent pending, international clients, and also raised international, but also nationally, 1.3 million euros. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karin. That's a great presentation. I'm going to open the floor for 3 to 4 minutes now for the investors. Does anybody have any questions? Clifford, I think I saw a hand up. Go ahead.
Yep. Yeah, just to get a little bit clearer sense of the products, Karin, and because I think you've talked about different segments, could you say a little bit more about, you know, what's going to be the main product driver? Is it going to be the dyes, or are you going to get into textiles? You know.
Yes. So the product is. Yeah, so the product is the dye and the pigment. So we're selling dyes and pigments, and this is our main product. In the upscaling phase, we realized that we cannot upscale to 1,000 kilograms at once. So we thought we do it in stages and help also to understand what the industry really needs. So by 2019, we had already the first client projects, and we get so much feedback on how to develop the product. So we sort of said, okay, upscaling, yes, but in a matter of steps. But our true business is stage 3 is to sell the pigments and the dyes, and eventually, okay, license out also the technology.
Andre, do you have a question?
Yes, thanks for the pitch. How do you price all of this? How are you planning on making money?
So how we try to make money is basically to sell the dyes and pigments at a competitive price to synthetic dyes. At the moment, we anticipate with our forecasting, because biotechnology depends on the upscaling level, like which kind of price you can reach, that we land somewhere between the costs of synthetic dyes and natural dyes, so plant-based dyes. And this is our forecast at the moment. We know also with scalability, so with more scale, we can reach better pricing. I have to say, though, some colors might never make it into production because, of course, we will learn maybe they have troubles to upscale. Yeah.
Thank you.
Arne, question from your side.
Hi, thank you for the pitch, and thank you for introducing us to Vienna Textile Lab. So a bit on the patent that you mentioned in the last slide. Could you maybe elaborate a bit on the patent strategy? Where is the patent for now is located in the production process, and what's the strategy on the rest?
Yeah, basically we have a multitude of patent preparations right now. The patent that is currently pending is looking at a specific color that we are patenting, including with a microorganism. But we're working on more. So now after 3 years, we have now a set of IP that we can enact, and some of them will be specific to the microorganism, some specific to the color, some specific to the process. So we have a whole set of strategy regarding this in order to increase our freedom to operate and to have more income also from the licensing. I hope that helped a bit. I don't know if that was what you were asking for. Yeah, okay.
Fantastic.
Can I still ask a question, or
very quick one?
Okay,
go ahead, Richard.
Just I was wondering, once a client changes to your process, what are the implications for his overall manufacturing process, and how fast does that go?
Okay, so when we work with clients, what we do basically is we ask the clients, what is the problem you want us to solve with which specific fiber, for instance. Dyes are developed to a certain type of fiber, so to silk, to wool, or to polyester, for instance, and the machinery can differ. So we try to figure out a way together with the clients, with their dye houses, how to implement our colors in their production process. This is, I think, the most successful way to do this. We have also competitors who sell a whole process, a new process to the client. We don't think so. We think the industry is doing quite a lot of innovation, and we have to be able to adapt to the new type of dyeing that is on the market.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Karin, and thanks for the good questions all. I'm now going to pass it over to
Thank
Claire.
you very much. Bye.
From Greenroads, Malta. Claire, can I welcome you to the screen? Yes.
Hi.
Welcome, Claire. Do you have
Thank
a presentation that you can share as well?
Yes, I'm just loading the slides. Here we go.
Fantastic. Over to you.
Hi, I'm Claire. I'm the founder of Greenroads. And what we do is that we detect and track different types of vehicles, pedestrians, and understand how they are moving and at what speed on the roads or open spaces. Now, the problem that we're addressing is that cities are transforming themselves even more than ever. They need to address the needs of citizens. We see a big shift towards smart cities that address citizen needs, and we know that good planning requires data. And this is where we come in. We use standard cameras. There are millions of cameras installed all over the road network, used in control rooms, used as security devices, data stored and deleted after a number of days, and we harness data out of these cameras to empower cities to understand the roads and public spaces. The solution is already up and running. As you can see, the backend is already tracking and tracing, and all the data is being recorded. The front end has already been deployed, and we currently have a number of active implementations. We started at home in Malta. We have an implementation with Infrastructure Malta, which we're currently scaling, and tests in Trento. Competition is significant in our area. This is a growing sector. However, we are positioning ourselves in order to be focused on sustainable mobility. We use standard cameras, and we're focusing on pedestrians, and we work with both real-time and uploaded videos. The market size, as you can see from our competitors, is already significant. It's constantly going. Smart cities are growing. They're on the rise. And our software is easy to implement because it is a software as a service. We can scale our solution based on cloud processing cores, based on online solutions through which the clients link and find all the data. One of our strongest assets is our founding team. I'm very proud of managed to put together some of the best scientists, entrepreneurs, and innovators locally. We're all working together in order to make this happen. And in fact, the solution has already been developed for the past 2 years. It's up and running. And right now we're signing off a deal with a Spanish reseller who would be offering our solution across Southern Europe and focusing primarily on Spain. We intend to work with urban planners because these people are already trusted by the local infrastructure authorities. They have the expertise. They're on hand. And we managed to get so far, thanks to EU funding, all non-equity based. So this is our first official equity round. And we're looking towards scaling further in the future. We're asking, in fact, for 800,000 euros in return for 20% equity, which will mainly go towards building our sales, strengthening our R&D, and getting ready in order to support the numerous clients that we intend to onboard using our software. And we're looking for building our external advisory board to strengthen further our team, to have new investors, new co-founders who actively want to make this happen. So if, like us, you believe that pedestrianization, low emission zones, strengthening the village cores and making them based around people instead of cars, then please contact us and we'll be more happy to discuss further. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Great presentation. Super relevant as well with a lot of the work that Climate Kick is doing across Clean Cities 100. And particularly, I know from living in London, there's lots of roads being closed. And I think there's definitely a data-driven approach to this that could really be beneficial. I can see across the board. I'm going to pass it over then to our investors. Is there any questions from your side? Put your hand up if you do. Andre.
I can always ask the money question. Thank you so much, Claire, for the presentation. I'm curious. So you said it's a software as a service. How much does it cost? Who's paying for it? Can you please help with that?
Okay. So as I said, software as a service, we depend on third parties. And we see that the bottom line so far from the implementations we've done is around 40% of the selling price. The selling price that we're targeting is 5K per connected camera. That is the undiscounted price. It goes down to approximately 4,500 depending on the package size. We're selling through urban planners to cities. So cities will ultimately own the data. They will ultimately have control to connect to their dashboards. And with the support of urban planners, they will interpret this data. They will use it to enhance planning within their cities.
So it's a B2B2G.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Clifford.
Thanks, Claire, for that presentation. You did say it's a busy space and there's stiff competition. How do you differentiate yourself, and what would you say gives Greenroads sort of a leg up on the competitors?
We're sustainable mobility focused. We don't just count cars. Counting cars is just a means to an end, whereas all the technologies already existing out there primarily start with that basis. We do all of that, but we also do more. We focus around pedestrians, we focus around cyclists. We want to further build our identification of micromobility. As you know, micromobility is constantly on the rise. there is significant demand to understand where potential clashes could occur. We help, and this is our space. I mean, we're not any other intelligent transport system. If you want a solution for your highways, go to our competitors. We're focused on urban spaces, on the city cores, making them more livable. And this is how we distinguish ourselves in the delivery and how we interpret the data in order to offer more insights that affect this new move towards transport and towards livable cities.
Thanks, Claire.
Does that answer your question?
Sorry. Arne, you have a question. I think it did.
Indeed. So I'm not really familiar with the space, so thank you for introducing me. It's a super interesting case. Could you elaborate on the privacy and data protection strategy that you have to go through? And do you see any issues in cities or in different cultures around the world in approaching people?
Okay, so we're fully GDPR compliant. When data is harvested, AI is totally discarding all the information with regards to the individual, so all personal data is removed, including faces, number plates. We are all about planning, not about enforcement. And when we work with cities, if they're super cautious, we can have an anonymization software which processes on location, and then we handle all the other data. However, our software is fully GDPR compliant, and in no way, in no stage of the process is personal data being harvested. It's actually much better than current control rooms. We walked into the local control room, and you see a number of people looking at videos being streamed live around all of the road network with all sorts of data in it. Whereas using a software like this, one can raise red flags, one can identify what's happening without needing to look at the source. And then if the need arises, that they still own these videos. They're already using them for security or for road monitoring purposes. And it's simply converting them into anonymous data that can be processed and analyzed in more detail.
Thank you, Claire. That was very clear. And thank you very much for your presentation. Lots of food for thought, definitely, for some of the gentlemen on the investment panel who maybe aren't as familiar with this. We're certainly seeing a need for it from our side. Thank you very much for your time. I'm now going to pass it over to Cecile from WeCo Toilet.
Hello, everyone. You can see me and the presentation. Well, now it's working.
Perfect.
I'm just checking if I can move the slide. No. Okay, I should do like this. Can you see the slide changing?
No, we can't at the moment, Cecile.
Okay, sorry. I got it. Well, hello everyone. I'm Cecile Dekeuwer, the CEO and founder of WeCo, the water recycling ecological toilets. Both are trademarked, registered. So we started the company 2014, stating that, considering that we are flushing away our livelihood. There are billions of clean water, billions liters of clean water flushed away every day. Lots of people are lacking access to proper sanitation, especially in emerging countries. So there are issues in terms of safety, health, but also in terms of country development and women development, especially because women are the ones suffering the most the lack of toilets. So the water cannot be wasted anymore for flushing. And we have imagined this and developed this new technology that is treating and recycling the wastewater on site. It's a closed water loop with a biological and electrochemical treatment. This is where the innovation lies. This is the first time in the world that this kind of combination of two treatments is made for treating the wastewater from the toilet. So it's the same water that is treated and reused on site. No difference for users, just a classical flush toilet, but actually no waste of clean water anymore. That's a big savings. But the other saving is that they are off-grid toilet because they don't need to be connected to the water sewage. And everything is controlled by an IoT, an electronic controller, enabling the predictive maintenance. So we reduced the water consumption of 97%. So this is how we achieved the sustainable development goals of clean water and sanitation, and the 12th one about eco-conception. We have started the certification process. We won many awards for our technology, the EU Seals of Excellence, the Climate Kick, Support Solar Impulse, the Gates Foundation, and we have sold our first minimum viable products to cities and B2B clients, companies like Alstom for the train, for which we are developing the toilet technology, and now we are working on a space development. So this is a proven operation, and we are revolutioning the toilet ecosystem with our black water recycling without compromising the user experience. Now we are looking for 2.5 million euro to scale and grow our company. So this is the roadmap, the history. As you can see, we won many awards and grants, but now we need more than that to scale and to pre-industrialize our technology to make it satisfy. I've been an ISO expert to adopt this specific certification for our technology. The market of a new reinvented toilet has been estimated at $6 billion by the Boston Consulting Group for the Gates Foundation. And we can add other markets, toilet market, that hasn't been considered in this $6 billion market estimate. So the new challenge for us is to certify our product, to continue developing the sales together with the R&D, and expand our sales across Europe and Africa. We won a project in Senegal where we are installing our first toilets adapted to Africa city where the need is huge. And then we want to industrialize and make public toilets that we make for the city into the container, but also for green buildings, for train and other embedded systems like boats. So we are now between Terrell 6 and Terrell 8, and this is how we will use the 2.5 million euro investment for manufacturing and engineering, sales and marketing, and management, administration, and IP and certification. So the team is a very diversified team. It's not shown here, but we have a diversified team of 15 people from experienced business angel, entrepreneur, and industry, water industry, legal and certification on my side, and sales and marketing as well. So, those are the expected revenue, and we consider now we are making direct sales. Then we will make distributorship agreements, especially in Europe, with local partner and local distributors. So Switzerland is our next country, together with Benelux and Germany. And for Africa, we are considering franchising. And in developed country to rent our toilet, because we already received requests for renting the toilets, but we need time to adapt our business model to be able to rent the toilet or the technology. So we either sell the whole equipped container with the toilet technology, or only the technology as a standalone to be integrated into another superstructure like a train or a building. Thank you.
Thank you, Cecile. Over to you, the investors. Do we have any questions? Richard.
Yeah, thank you, Cecile, for the pitch. I don't know if I've missed the information, but who would be your typically target customer? Is it only new buildings, new projects, or could your technology also be installed in the existing buildings?
Yes. So our first customers are the cities. We won the Sustainable City award from the French government, and the first city has ordered, and we have installed public toilets in cities. Then we have the companies that are that want our toilets for their offices, plants, premises. So we can deliver either the container with the technology integrated, or just the technology that we integrate into an existing building, or of course a new building. So both are possible. It's a plug and play technology. We are developing a plug and play compact size technology of wastewater treatment and recycling.
Clifford.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation, Cecile. Very interesting. The question I have is about the technology. To what extent have you protected it? Is it easily replicable? How are you going to ward off competition to maintain a market advantage?
Good question. It's a deep tech, very complex one. Initially, it has been developed by Caltech, and now we are for 6 years now. We have been redeveloping the technology, but the Caltech inventor is our R&D advisor. So we have our own patents. It's very, very complex technology because you have biology, chemistry, electronics, hydraulics, so many scientific fields, and we are known. Even I should say worldwide, because as I said, I've been invited to be an ISO expert when we adopted the ISO 4500 certification made for this technology. So that's how we developed this network of sanitation people, and that's how we make the project in Senegal, for example. But also, yeah, we are known as being the first and for the moment only company in the capacity to scale and develop at an industrial level those kind of off-grid water recycling eco toilets. There are initiatives, but so far they haven't succeeded in developing such a high-level technology, being certified and patented and developed at an industrial level.
Arne.
Hi, Cecile. Thank you for your pitch as well today. Could you elaborate a bit on the growth strategy, and where do you see the biggest challenges for your company to actually grow on a global level? Because I can imagine with a quite elaborate, quite difficult technology with a lot of different parts, is it difficult to establish yourself and roll out this technology in Africa and other parts of the world?
Yeah, lots of challenges, and that's where we focus now with our COO, who has 30 years of experience in multinational and corporates, to really define where we should start first, because cities in developed countries are the first clients, I should say easy and good clients, even if they are long-term to access. So first, we are selling and continuing developing the toilets to cities in developed country in Europe, meaning in Europe. But then we are developing the product in Africa, adapting it to emerging cities. So that's a work we are doing, but it's at the R&D and prototyping stage. And for the what we decided to target is cities. Basic, I would say the basic product we have, technology, and to develop specific embedded toilet technology for specific B2B clients. So with them, we are making a full process of development, paid for that, starting with the studies, and then testing, designing, testing, prototyping, certifying, like for the train or for the boat or for the space industry. We just started a project in Switzerland for the space industry. So basic one, public toilet for cities, not so much development to do, and specific development paid for that by B2B clients.
Thank you, Cecile. we're going to have to leave it there. I have lots of questions as well, but there's not enough time. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks to you.
I'm going to now hand it over to David from Electric Avenue Bikes. David.
Hello, everybody. My name is David from Electric Avenue Bikes, and I'll just share my slides there if everybody can see it. And I'm actually standing in for my co-founder Maina today, so that's why I'm a little bit of an outlier, but happy to be here, meet you all, and to give you a rundown through our pitch. So Electric Avenue Bikes is our business. I'm co-founder of it, and our view is to give bikes a second life and give your wallet a break. So what's the problem? So e-bikes are expensive, limiting access to certain people. A good quality electric bike can cost between €2,000 and €10,000. There's a burgeoning market to buy and sell second life electric bikes with limited offerings currently. Lithium-ion battery packs tend to retain up to 80% capacity at the end of their life cycle, but this is often not harnessed and they go to recycling prematurely. The 2023 EU battery regulations are introducing requirements for the reuse and second life purposes of electric battery packs, e-bike battery packs. Our solution is an online marketplace for the purchase, sale and refurbishment of second life e-bikes. Customers get a warranted second life bike for 20 to 50% cheaper than the original cost. At the end of the second life cycle, we'll take the battery pack back. We'll give the customer a certificate for responsible recycling, and we will then repurpose those cells into a static battery pack. This solves the cost and logistical issues associated with second life e-bikes and reduces the environmental and social impact of batteries and produces an additional revenue stream for the business. The market traction so far. I'm just going to maximize it was quite small. So the EU e-bike market is valued at 9 billion in 2021. It's due to grow to 18.26 billion in 2027. We're focusing on Ireland and the UK initially. In 2021, it was 279 million, and it's due to grow to 494 million in 2027. That's for the new e-bike market. Using a top-down method, our total addressable market for second life e-bikes across Ireland and the UK is 120 million annually, and our serviceable addressable market of that is 24 million. Our traction so far, we were established in 2020, and our sole purpose up to this point has been the sales and leasing of new electric bikes. Thus far, we have 94 bikes sold and leased. We have revenues of 124k, and we've a weighted pipeline on our leased fleet up until the end of Q3 of 21k. We're a climate kickback startup. Thus far, we have bootstrapped the business, and we've been continuing going from generating revenue from the sales and leasing of the bikes. Our business model, as I touched on a moment ago, currently we sell and lease e-bikes. We're a B2B bike provider of bike share facilities for corporate organizations. The primary focus of this fundraising will be for the development and scale of our second life e-bike offering. Once we're up and running with that, the business will have 4 revenue streams. 1, the sale of second life e-bikes through our premises and web store. B2B lease provider of bike share schemes for corporate organizations. We'll have the sales of new e-bikes through our premises and web store. And we have the third life repurposing of 18650 cells into static storage systems, which we can then lease out. The USP, we are a dedicated marketplace for the purchase, sale and refurbishment of second life micro EVs while facilitating third life repurpose of 18650 cells into static storage units. Our business is truly circular. Batteries are carbon neutral when the bikes are sold into their second life cycle and are carbon positive when we're putting them into static storage systems. The climate impact. Currently, it takes 124 kilos of CO2 to make a 500 watt-hour battery pack, which is one average size e-bike battery pack. By streamlining the distribution and improving the quality of the second life e-bikes, we're reducing the amount of waste that goes to landfill. 240 tons of raw material, to be exact, which is what would be saved from landfill annually from our second life program. And we can harness 8,000 kilowatt hours of battery capacity. This will be retained annually, resulting in the saving of 1,984 tons of CO2 compared to a linear model. Our competition. So within Ireland, currently very limited and restricted, and quite similar within the UK. It's quite a fragmented market with traditional second-hand bikes being sold through online marketplaces such as Dundeal, Bike Fair, Bike Soup, usedbikes.ie and adverts. And obviously through bike shops. Currently in Ireland, there's 1,162 e-bikes for sale on these marketplaces, and we estimate there's another 2,000 to 2,500 through traditional bike shops that are for sale. The team currently is myself, my co-founder, Maina. My background is in finance and insurance broking and corporate sales for 10 years. Maina is a chartered accountant, and her background is with Indigenous and multinational companies based here in Ireland for the past 15 years. With this fundraising, we were looking to recruit somebody who we're in talks with currently. They have 15 years experience in the bicycle industry and have ran some of the largest electric bike stores in Ireland. We're looking to raise 1.05 million for a 15% share in the business. This will be split across personnel and purchasing stock, building out our online marketplace, and other aspects, which we can go into in more detail. Some financials we have here, which are projections. So by the end of 2023, our aim is to have generated 945,000 in revenue as a result of selling 500 second life e-bikes. By the end of 2024, it'll be 4.04 million, and by the end of 2025, it'll be 11.5 million. This gives us a gross margin of 48% in year 1, 50% in year 2, and 52% in year 3. And that's it. And I thanks for your time, and I welcome any questions.
Thanks, Dave. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Over to the investor panel. Any questions? Go ahead, Richard.
How manual is the refurbishment, and do you do it yourself or do you work with partners?
So the refurbishment will be, ultimately, we'll do a 20-point check on the bikes, looking at the structural elements of the bike, such as the frame, the wheels, the brakes, everything like that. The primary purpose of the refurbishment will be on the battery packs. So we'll be looking at implementing a machine as a service offering. There's a number of different providers we're in contact with at the moment, and basically that will be used to repurpose the battery packs. So they will test the packs. They will initially, for the second life, they will identify the cells that we need to replace. We will replace those cells, put them back out, and when they come back in for the third life, they will remove the cells automatically, sort them, and then redistribute them into larger battery packs. But we will do that work in-house by adopting a machine from a third-party company.
And maybe a follow-on question, and how costly is that compared to the price you charge afterwards?
Costly is the sale of the bikes, or the
refurbishment part, like the costs you have to refurbish the bikes, and then the amount you charge the clients afterwards or your customers.
Sure, yeah. So the way we would look at it is we will purchase bikes directly from consumers for resale, and we're also going to purchase them directly from bike shops. So currently bike shops aren't too interested in taking trade-ins of bikes for customers. So if a customer goes into a bike shop, they say, can I trade in my old bike? I want to buy a new one. Bike shops will do it, but they're not keen on it because they have their cash flow tied up in that. So what we're going to do is we'll approach the bike shops and say, we'll buy the bikes directly. You improve your cash flow. The customer gets a purchase for their bike, and you get the sale of a new bike. So we'll offer between 50 to 60% of the new price of a bike. It will be dependent on the mileage and the condition of the bike. And then it will cost us in the region of 10% of the value maximum to focus on the repurposing of that. And then we will sell those bikes for between 20 to 50% cheaper than the original new cost. There's a lot of variables there, but depending on condition and age and everything like that. And so they're kind of a rough indication of the figures.
Thank you, Dave. Any more questions from the panel? Clifford.
You mentioned, thanks, Dave. Actually, very interesting. You mentioned 4 revenue streams, but I understand, if I understand you correctly, the main driver of revenue is going to be the second life sale. Is that going to be the dominant source of revenue through the business, or do you see an evolution of the revenue streams over time?
Yeah, good question. That's exactly it. The primary revenue stream will be the sale of the second life bikes, because I can see we can get the critical mass of that going over the next 3 to 5 years. But we currently sell new bikes, and we currently have a B2B lease offering, and our aim is to grow that out over the course of the coming 3 to 5 years. Additionally, will be the leasing of the static storage packs. Once we're in a position, maybe 2 years down the line, where we have our bikes coming back after the end of a second life cycle, we can repurpose them, put into static storage packs, and then lease those out. But the primary purpose and the primary revenue from the business will be through the sale of Second Life bikes.
Is there any more questions from? Nope, doesn't seem to be. Thank you very much, Dave. Appreciate your time.
Everybody.
Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
I'm now going to pass over to Marilyn from Aequor. We're missing Marilyn, I gather. 1 minute. Just find out who is next. Are there any reflections from the investor panel on what we've seen so far?
I like the fact that we've seen a lot of variety here. Everything from textile, all the way to taking care of cities, all the way to electric bikes. This diversity in terms of industries, also in terms of the features, and also in terms of the maturity. It's a really good mix.
No, and I would like to add maybe, of course, also the quality of the pitches. I think all the entrepreneurs are doing great. I think it's a certain level of professionalism, and it's super great that I'm learning a lot. So I want to thank everyone.
One of the nice things about being an investor, you get to hear about some awesome innovations that are going on. I certainly come away from these events every time with real hope that industries are being recreated. And we're definitely starting to see more capital being deployed into these really innovative companies. So that's great news. Richard, what are you seeing from your side in terms of deal flow from Redstone? Is there any interesting kind of tidbits that you're seeing from your side in terms of looking from the recreation of industries? I know you're looking at Industry 4.0 a lot as well within Redstone.
Yeah. So what I recently saw quite often are different approaches to make manufacturing of like really primary materials like steel, cement, concrete, more carbon efficient. And often it's a solution that makes the quality more stable, more consistent and better, and thereby reduces carbon, which I think is a really good approach if you solve a business issue, and just by making processes more efficient, also creating a better environmental footprint of those processes. And with those industries, this can be really powerful.
We actually have someone, one of the startups that we'll be pitching will be looking at the storage of green hydrogen, which is obviously super relevant to those industries. So that's really good. I'm just, do we have the next startup to come up? Brilliant. So we're going to introduce Josh from MakeGrowLab. Josh, welcome to the stage. You're on mute at the moment.
Hi, everybody. Sorry about that. Thank you for having me here today. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Okay. And if you could just let me know if everybody can see that on the big screen there. Should be full screen.
Yep.
Beautiful.
All good.
Okay, wonderful. So once again, my name is Josh Brito. I'm the co-founder and CEO of MakeGrowLab, and we are a biomaterials company that grows high-performance nanofibers for the packaging and textile industry. And the reason for this is because, as many of you are aware, over the last few years, many materials such as plastic, for example, have gotten quite a bad reputation due to the effect that it has on our lives, right? And because of this, we have actually shifted from plastic to more traditional forms of packaging, such as paper packaging. The paper packaging right now is a booming market, but unfortunately, paper alone doesn't have the necessary properties in order to give the desired effect. For example, we have this paper cup here, is often found with plastic coating or plastic linings, which gives it the ability to hold water. And when we look at existing alternatives like this pressed material in the middle, although they're bio-based and they're really nice, they as well don't function as well as they should. So that's the reason why many of these products haven't taken off. And of course, with such a rise in demand in paper packaging, it also means a rise in demand in virgin fibers, which comes from trees, which again is something we don't like to cut down. So we need to find a better solution, right? And that's exactly what we have done, because what we do is we use a renewable and abundant resource known as food waste. And this can be anything, a variety of different roots, fruits, and vegetables, juices, beers, anything bio pretty much. And what we do is we give this to microbes, and the microbes then turn the nutrients into nanofibers. And these fibers we then harvest and make it into a variety of different products, one of those being a suspension. And this suspension can be added to existing materials to improve the performance of them, or it can also be used to create plastic-free films like you see here. One of the interesting things about our technology, when you compare it to the current technology, is that our efficiency is 600 times greater when you compare it to the same area that it takes to grow one tree of eucalyptus, which is very common in the paper industry. And when you talk about the benefits of adding our suspension to the paper packaging, we've actually seen great improvements in things like oxygen, water, and grease barriers. But apart from that, we can also make packaging lighter, stronger, while still reducing the cost. And of course, we make sure that all of our materials are recyclable with paper. Just to give you a show of a little bit of something we've been doing recently, we actually just, we're in the middle of a project with Colgate, and what we've done with them is kind of give them a higher performance. We've reduced the weight of their packaging by 50% and actually made their packaging from 100% recycled content. And just to give you another sneak peek, this is actually kind of the future of replacing plastic bottles for that's coming with shampoos, which is a very big problem in recycling. And to talk to you a little bit about our team, we started in 2019, and right now it's actually 5 of us, and so far we've raised about $410,000, and all the equity actually belongs to the founders right now. But the reason that we're actually here today is to kind of talk to you guys about our future plans and what we need in order to get there. So currently we can make about 1 ton of suspension or cellulose per month. But that's not enough, especially if you want to go further with companies like Colgate. We need a higher volume. So our end game, or not our end game, for 2025, our plan is to be able to do at least 1,000 tons a month, right? And since 2019, we've actually had quite a nice time. We've won several awards. We've participated in many great programs, started our first pilot project last year, and actually hope to start a few more this year. As a matter of fact, we just signed our second pilot project not so many hours ago. But in order to get that, we need to scale up our level, as I just said. But apart from that, apart from production, we need to scale up our team. We need a larger team, especially in our science department in terms of marketing, which is very important. And in order to give our materials to the rest of the world, they need to be certified, right? People want to know that what we're saying is true. So that's something that we need to work on as well. But after that, we also need to make our materials available in a large commercial scale, which would be in rolls. So the 2 million would be for scaling up our team, certifying our technology, and being able to produce it commercially. And that's all for me today. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Josh. Over to the panel.
Could you say that one more time? I wasn't sure if you asked me a question there.
No, over to the panel. Is there any questions from the panel? Arne, go on, jump in.
Thank you. So thank you, Josh, for introducing us. And so first question, I think I picked it up during one of your slides on price point, because of course these biomaterials, there is a green premium to be paid in most cases. Can you elaborate on how that goes in terms of your product?
Yeah, so actually we've been putting a lot of emphasis on our pricing, especially being competitive to existing cellulose. So it's very important to say that we are not competing price-wise with plastic, because that's not something that's going to happen anytime soon. What we're doing is actually comparing ourselves to existing cellulose, which comes from the wood industry. So we have made sure that we have actually can make ourselves actually even more affordable than the current industry, because a lot of their pricing actually comes from the scarcity, right, that's available in the natural resources, but as well as the energy in the long process that it takes to get that cellulose. So what's interesting about our technology is that we cut the traditional process to just a fraction of what it actually is. So because of that, we have a competitive advantage, and we're working on, to make it lower for everybody, but as well making sure that it's still profitable.
Thanks, Josh. Clifford.
Thanks, Josh. Very interesting product. You talked a little bit about sort of. So if I understand, the product is the suspension, this sort of formula you're selling, and it can be combined with paper. You said, what other types of materials have you tested it with, and could it be potentially blended with other types of material used for packaging?
Yeah, so there's a variety of different, aside from paper packaging, it can also be used to enhance the properties of other bioplastics, right? So there's it's such a vast field, and many people are working on a variety of different technologies. But one thing that we can do is help other companies with their films, with, for example, you have things like mushroom packaging, which has gotten quite popular. But even then, sometimes those products need some type of coating to enhance it, to give it a better performance. That's where we come in terms of packaging. But if you want to talk about other markets, we also go into the fashion industry, and we can create leather alternatives and also coatings for those leather alternatives. So it's quite infinite potential.
Thanks, Josh. Is there any other questions, Andre, Richard at all? No? Okay. Andre.
No. If I'm muted anyways. So, again, the money question. You're making this product. How are you going to make money out of it? What's the plan, and what's the pricing of it?
Yeah, so the current plan right now is to have our suspension, right, which is going to be our first foot in the door, foot in the market, and we would be selling this to manufacturers of packaging. So we're not going out and saying we have ready-made packaging. This is what.
Oh, Josh has frozen. Andre, are you seeing a frozen Josh as well?
Yes, in a very funny pose.
Okay, let's give him a couple more seconds, see if he can come back. It looks like something very important he was about to say, definitely.
You guys.
Oh. Josh, we're struggling at the moment. You seem to have broken up. What a shame. What I would say here, I think we will need to maybe move on to the next startup unless Josh comes back. You can reach Josh on private chat, all attendees, if you have any follow-up questions for him. It doesn't look like we're going to get him back, so we're going to actually move on to our next startup. So I would like to now introduce Olga from AgroSustain.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you.
Hi, Olga.
You're not too hungry, so you're still happy to hear a bit about food, actually. Can you see my screen?
We can, yes. Not on full screen yet, though.
Now?
Not yet, no.
Strange, because in my case it looks like a whole screen. Still not?
No.
Let me try again. Just a second. Don't see your screen. Window. Do you see it whole screen now?
Nothing as of yet. Hang on a sec. No, it's just a presentation. It's not a disaster if you want to go on like that, though.
Okay, so let's don't spend more time on that. So basically, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to present you AgroSustain, one of the supported startup like ClimAccelerator, I think, since 2019. So as of today, we are 4 years old. We are 13 people in the team, and our goal is to help to reduce the food waste by providing sustainable solution. So now, I guess most of you already heard that every year we are losing approximately 150 million tons of fruits and vegetables. And when we start looking a bit more in depth why this loss is happening, we can actually split it on 3 core issues. Number 1 is the over-ripening of the crop, something that we can see quite often in terms of bananas or avocados. Number 2 is a fungal infection. And number 3 is a shrinkage of crops, because I guess none of us really likes to eat crops that do not look that appealing anymore. And when we start looking what is currently available in the market, of course, there is a number of solutions. But the core issue that we can see is that there is no one that can fight it all at once or fight it in a highly efficient manner by providing natural alternatives or biological and not really chemical. So our solution is not only natural, but it's also efficient, and it works on 20 types of fruits and vegetables. So here you can see example with bananas. I always like to show it because you
Olga,
can
sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
Just to say that you're not moving through the slides at the moment.
No?
We're still just seeing your first slide.
This is very strange. I think then I have to start again. Because yesterday we checked it and it was working. I will try to share now with you the entire screen. And maybe that, do you see it now?
One sec. Yes, and we're on the right slide. Fantastic.
Perfect.
Sorry to interrupt.
You should have said it to me before. So basically, here you can see example of our coating. And basically, I like to show bananas because you can see the ripening effect quite quickly. Because, you know, after 1 week of storage, usually at room temperature, bananas get all black. Whereas on the top, you could see the same age of bananas, but they were coated with our solution. And what is important that we do not only see visual changes, but we can also provide reduction of shrinkage, meaning that also water losses, where we can reduce it by 97%. And of course, we can extend the shelf life of this banana by 1 week. Now, is banana the only crop? No, because our solution works on over 20 types of them, including exotic and locally grown crops. Do you see next slide now? Okay, I hope you do. So basically here is how we can integrate our solution in the supply chain. Most of our clients, such as food distributors or producers, already have a packing stations in their premises. And our solution can be either applied by spraying or by buffing. So like this, they do not really need to carry out any heavy expenses in their premises. And once the crops are coated with our solution, they just dry it out, packed, and then shipped to the next client in the supply chain. What is the core difference of our solution with currently existing ones? Here you can see a picture of cucumber, which is already covered in plastic. And this plastic indeed can provide extension of shelf life of cucumbers between 1 week to 2 weeks. But is it really edible or sustainable? I guess you're all familiar with the question, with an answer on this. And our edible solution provides extension of freshness, it's natural, and replaces plastic packaging. Now, where do we stand as AgroSustain after 4 years? We have set up our own production facilities, which are now fully operational and certified in Switzerland. We had started our commercial sales in Switzerland as of March this year. We are starting sales in Germany actually as of 1st of July, and now we are talking about expansion to French market. We are currently preparing for commercial rollout globally, and we are developing a line of biological solutions. So it's not only coatings, but it's also biological fungicides, for example. We to date have five patents in our portfolio. We are planning to file 2 more, and currently we are doing a fundraising through convertible loan of 5 million in order to accelerate our commercial rollout and to continue development of our biological solution pipeline. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm sorry for the issue with slides.
No problem at all, Olga. Excellent presentation.
It's perfect, so.
I followed it perfectly. I just thought there was probably some pictures that were meant to be coming up, so it was very good. Unfortunately, Richard's had to step away as an emergency on his side, but the rest of the investor panel, do you have any questions for Olga? Put your hand up if you do. Arne, jump on in.
A bit related to the previous previous question, because you're competing with this commoditized alternative is this plastic around a cucumber. How do you see the consumer perspective, and how happy are the consumers that you're approaching them? Are they willing to pay this extra price for your product and for your solution?
This is a very good question. Actually, I think there's 2 questions. Do we really increase the price of a product? And how do they react on it? So first of all, our coating does not increase the price of a product because it's already basically compensating from the losses that it helps to prevent. So end price of the fruits will stay the same. Are they happy to pay for it? I think you probably heard that in Germany, plastic packaging was already banned. It also was a thing in France this year, and it's going to be something that we will see in a number of other geographies. So plastic packaging is indeed very efficient solution, but not fully sustainable. Now, are we the only ones on the market? No, there is also larger companies such as, for example, Deco or AgroFresh, who can provide alternative solution to ours. But core differentiation of our product is that it's natural and that it's highly efficient, because we are the only one right now who can cover over 20 types of crops. Usually, if you look, it's usually 1 or 2 lines, and even if you see anything natural, it can have sometimes allergenic reaction for people. So sometimes people are using shrimps, for example, as a part of coatings. And then even if you are eating mango, you can suddenly feel allergic reaction, which something we do not provide with our coating because it's made of vegetable oils.
Thanks, Olga. Andre.
How does the sales cycle look for you when you approach your clients?
It's a very good question. So it took us 2 years to put our product on the market because of certification. So now it's already approved in Europe and a number of other geographies. So on average, I would say it takes approximately half a year, because we first would like our clients to do the validation of product efficacy, then we would integrate, if required, in the premises and application unit, and only then we are talking about real sales.
Fantastic. Clifford's making lots of notes. Was there any follow-ups on your side, Clifford?
No, I did have a question about the potential sort of because it's ingested potential risks of from the solution, but I think Olga already tackled that question, and I assume you've done tests, and since it's been certified, it's been adequately addressed. Yeah.
Brilliant. Andre?
I have one last one. In Romania, we saw that, for example, for apple crops, we saw coating with wax. That's what I saw. It's a huge headache to wash those apples if you want to eat them.
And it's also hard to apply because it's very viscous.
Okay. What other differentiators do you have? Or how does it compare otherwise with this other solution?
So waxes, what they're doing, it's a little bit like mummification of the crop. So they're covering it, the crop kind of stops ripening from outside. It looks beautiful, but sometimes when you look inside, it still starts to ripen even quicker, and then you do not know what you will get inside. If you're very lucky, it's going to be good. If not, you have a problem. So with the coating, we do not do such a thick application. So you don't even notice that there was anything applied. And I think it's something that European consumers usually do not want to see. It's waxes is more, I think, for Latin America, because there it's all about shininess of the crops. And basically with our coating, we are making this invisible barrier on the top of it, but fruit still continues breathing, just at a reduced rate. So like this, we extend the shelf life, but visually you know exactly what is the stage of it. So it's not taking you by surprise what is inside.
Thank you, Olga.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Olga. Very, very clear. And thank you very much for your time as well. We're actually going to move on to our final startup, Bélen from HySiLabs.
Hi,
welcome.
good morning, everyone.
Good morning, and we can see your slides. Go ahead.
I'm very sorry because I can't share my screen right now, but I hope that's okay. In any case, very nice to be here and very happy to present HySiLabs today to you.
Brilliant. Go ahead.
Okay, well, first, I would like to talk to you about HySiLabs. HySiLabs is a company that was founded in 2015. I'm Bélen Moreno. I'm the Sales and Marketing Director of the company, and I would like to explain to you what we developed thanks to this amazing hydrogen carrier that can transport hydrogen as we store today in conventional liquids. Because, well, it is true that hydrogen today is a key element in the energy transition, but its logistics remain always complex and expensive, as it's either we transport it at very high pressure, either at very low temperature. That's why we developed what we call hydrogen storage liquid solution, which is actually going to enable massive hydrogen logistics. We are done about this model of transporting hydrogen for small distances and small quantities. We can now conceive a new value chain. This is thanks to a molecule that is actually going to imprison into it hydrogen, and is going to be polymerized in order to transport it as any conventional liquid. This means that we won't be able to make any new investment in logistics value chain for hydrogen, which is one of the main game changers for energy transition. How this actually works? Well, what we are going to do is that we are going to produce hydrogen, of course, from green sources, and then we are going to combine it with usual silica. And once we have these two combined, we are going to create hydrosil. This molecule you can see on the left side of the screen. Once we have transported via the same logistics as conventional liquid fuels, such as, for example, gasoline or diesel, we are going to just combine the molecule with water in order to get the hydrogen. And not only we are getting hydrogen and this silica from the beginning that we can reuse as many times as we want, but we are also going to get some heat that we can reuse for other purposes. Of course, if we compare ourselves to other solutions that exist already in the market, we can compare ourselves to the conventional ones, which are pressurized hydrogen or liquefied hydrogen. These are not only no stable solutions, but also most of them don't have the infrastructure created yet, which is the case of liquefied hydrogen. If we look at ammonia, which is also a very good hydrogen carrier, well, of course, it is not stable, and as it's toxic, most of the times we are not going to be able to get to the last mile of hydrogen usage in order to use it. And if we compare ourselves to other hydrogen carriers, such as liquid organic hydrogen carriers, well, it is true that we can reuse as well the existing infrastructures, but these are molecules that are degraded with time, so we will need to invest a lot on them in order to develop them. This also has an advantage at a cost competitive level, as for given business cases such as, for example, overseas transportation of hydrogen or massive importation from hydrogen hubs will be one of the most economic solutions for transporting hydrogen. As for the market that HySiLabs can address thanks to this amazing molecule, well, it is true that as long as we can transport or store hydrogen, and we do that from massive production to retail quantities, we are going to have amazing figures as the ones that you're seeing on your screens. So it's really a huge market we are looking forward to addressing. In order to address this market, of course, we count on an amazing team of 15 talents and an amazing board and investors that help us and believe firmly into our solution. But of course, this development is still ongoing. Right now, we are just launching this Series 8 fundraising that will actually finance the next step till 2025, who will be 3 pilots of the charging process and 3 pilots of the release in order to get to the commercialization in 2027. If you would be interested on investing on this Series 8 on future Series B in order to help us industrializing our molecule and deploying the hydrogen value chain, at your disposal, and I will be happy to answer all your questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Bélen. Great presentation. Are there any questions from our investor panel?
I can also step in and a bit the same question as Andre had for the previous company. What does a sales cycle and actually the client look like for you, and how do you approach and how do you convert these sales?
So as the hydrogen value chain is still in deployment, we couldn't actually rely on a licensing model or other non-valorizing models for our molecule. So what we decided to take as a business model is selling hydrogen by partnering with hydrogen producers, hydrogen logistics companies, and other parts of the value chain in order to deliver this hydrogen to end users of the hydrogen world thanks to our molecule.
Thanks for the pitch. How can you give us some examples of clients or potential clients that you have, and what kind of industries are they from?
Yeah, so the ideal clients we have are from 3 main applications. The first one is of course overseas transportation, so everything that has to do with hydrogen hubs, hydrogen valleys, and other places that are about to import huge amounts of hydrogen. But of course, there are also any company that is willing to store hydrogen, either if they are stockist of hydrocarbons that they would like to reuse their infrastructures, but also they have any will of storing hydrogen for strategic purposes, for example, for industry. And there's a last application, of course, which is marine onboard mobility. This marine onboard mobility is something that we would love to develop, as our solution just needs water to release hydrogen. So it's very advantageous for this type of applications.
Thank you, Bélen. We actually have a question from the audience as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what scale of production of your molecule can you achieve? And what is the cost of your LOHC material? It's from Lena from the audience.
Well, thank you, Lena, for your question. First, I would like to specify we are not actually an LOHC. We are a non-organic molecule, so we are going to work very differently. We are going to have serious lots of advantages compared to LOHC. Regarding
unfortunately, Bélen, you've dropped. It sounds like Bélen might have a bad connection, which is always the risk of doing these live events.
Our molecule. Today, we are only producing some kilograms.
Bélen, we're losing you. You're dropping in and out, so it's very difficult for us to follow what you're saying.
I'm sorry about it. In that case, well,
Bélen, we can't really hear you, unfortunately. It might be.
Please.
It might be best if maybe you address questions maybe on chat for now.
Don't
just because you're coming
hesitate
in and out. I think we might have lost Bélen, unfortunately. Could we drop these slides, please? And I think it doesn't sound like we're going to get any more from Bélen, unfortunately. Bélen, we're unable to hear you, I'm afraid. I'd ask you maybe to jump over to the chat and maybe answer your questions there. We're going to move over now to Ann from Redrose Developments. Hi, Ann.
Hi, good morning, everybody, and greetings from a very sunny Portugal, where I'm attending the UN Ocean Conference. I'm from Redrose Developments, and we are all about the seaweed. Seaweed is very much a hot topic in this environment. It supports a healthy ocean, and we're looking how to commercialize it by bringing the process to the seaweed. Just moving slides. So the problem as we see it is that so much seaweed is taken from the ocean for different applications in food, feed, fertilizer, and much, much more. The problem is over 90% of seaweed comes from wild stock when used in the Irish context. That creates a loss of marine biodiversity. There's so much waste because we lose so much of the micronutrients. It's not sustainable. And the method to stabilize it, because I'm sure, guys, you've all been there, walking on the beach, tripping over dried, smelly seaweed covered in flies. Yeah, that's because it's so bioactive. We want to capture those bioactives, and that's what we intend to do. So that's the problem. This is our solution. We bring the process in containerized units to the shoreline. They're franchise-owned, owner-operated, but also we create more volume of commercial stock cultivated using fishermen, using their equipment, using their skills, far more sustainable. And we create product both in liquid and solid forms. I'll get the hang of this system any second now. Let's just look at the market for seaweed. Markets, as I've mentioned, food, feed, fertilizer, but we're looking at biopolymer. We're looking at biofabrics, biofuel, but seaweed is too important to burn. The EU currently imports over €6 million per year, and it's mainly applied in the food and feed and fertilizer. That will be our beachhead market. What we're looking to do, and this is our system, is basically create units of floating farms. These are small modulated farms which are towable behind a standard fishing boat using standard equipment and their skills. These fishermen, they know the ocean, they know moorings, they know how to tow, and that's what we're asking of them. We will lease pre-seeded. We're breaking the barriers to market entry for small scale. We lease these units, they're pre-seeded, we've done the science, we've done the permitting, and we're going to moor these onto offshore structures away from the crowded marine space. We're already in discussion with a number of ocean structures, such as wind platforms, wave platforms. But we need to valorize it. Seaweed of itself, at the moment, is considered to be a low-value commodity. It doesn't need to be. Our processing unit, and I'll talk more about our success in a moment, is a containerized unit, as mentioned, that takes the seaweed and pre-treats it. We don't lose the moisture, which is currently being lost. 55% of global seaweed sales is in liquid form. We will create liquid and solid. We capture it straight from the ocean. We tow these floating farms to meet these processing units, who will process some wild stock, but limited amounts. We don't damage the ocean because it's so small, it's containerized. We pre-treat it, we break at cellular level, releasing the nutrients into the liquid. We capture that liquid. We also have the solid mass, which we dry. It's a cookie cutter approach. It's remotely monitored and low skills level required to operate. The concept is there will be 10 of these units, and we'll collect the liquid and the solid like the dairies back in the day. And we'll homogenize, we'll quality validate. We will then start to separate into different components, the minerals, the calcium, the proteins, the polysaccharides, the hydrocolloids, all of those wonderful things that's in this, and it's not urine. It looks like a urine sample, but it's not. It's seaweed. But it's seaweed that's been filtered and can be filtered further to meet market demands. Very exciting. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. So moving swiftly on. This is our other success story that occurred 2 weeks ago. We were able to tow and demonstrate the floating system using our standard fishing equipment, and we towed it some distance. You can see here, I hope on my cursor, the distance that was towed is over 7 nautical miles, and we didn't lose any stock. The system withheld 4 storms in 7 days, named storms, so extreme weather conditions. The system was robust enough to withstand it, and the yield, well, the picture says it all. Fantastic yield. We got the volumes we were expecting, so it's all good. This is a sample of analyzed seaweed to demonstrate that our system works. We've got more nutrients in that little bottle than you would normally expect. So what we're looking for is an investment of 600K. We've got a commitment of 250K. We have clear milestones. We know where we're going to spend the money, predominantly on CapEx to produce a prototype to get enough volume to go into product, so enough product trials underway in the different sectors. We need to build up our team and develop it and make it stronger. But that's it. That's what we're looking for, guys. So we hope you can help. It's an exciting journey. Seaweed is very much a hot topic. Pretty much, I'd say 40% of the discussions here at the conference is all about seaweed. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer them.
Thanks, Anne. Great presentation. Andrea, I'm aware that you have another meeting coming up. Is there any questions from your side?
Yeah, thank you so much, Luke. Thanks, Anne, for the pitch. Where are you guys at right now? What's your current status in terms of where you are with the business? How do the clients look like in this industry? Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, no, certainly. Well, firstly, the clients are in 3 sections distinctly. The fishing community. The fishing community love the concept because not only can they have additional income, but improves the water quality and creates a natural habitat to grow more fish, basically. So it improves marine biodiversity. It also is a win for the offshore wind and wave because their biggest objectives are the fishing community. But if we could make them part of the solution rather than the problem, it's a win-win. So we have a structure that's been proven and demonstrated. We've got a lot of boxes ticked on an extreme side. The second group and cohort of customers would be in Ireland specifically, because we have legal access, is the harvesters who have heritage rights to access seaweed. It's a small cohort, and I'm in direct contact with at least half a dozen who've signed letters of intent because they're interested. They don't want to take vast swathes of the ocean, and they're under pressure to cut 10 or 20, 30 tons per day. What we're saying is, look, guys, cut 1 ton, which you know is sustainable. We can switch to different species. The method works, whether it's Ascophyllum, whether it's bladderwrack, whether it's kelps, the Alaria, the sugar kelp. We know that by breaking up at this early stage, that's where we actually get it. Now, the third group, the downstream users, and that's where we're in early discussion. We're talking to some food producers to do artisan trials of different food products. We've got some tests, but not with the liquid. We need to get enough volume, and that's what we need the investment for. But we have enough MVPs so that we've stimulated interest. Indeed, I'm talking to somebody whilst I'm at the conference. He's got an amazing drink, which is an isotonic drink using ocean water. With our seaweed input, he can then start to say iron enhanced, for example, by isolating the iron content. But what we do is we've got so much left in the seaweed that we can put it into different areas. We can take the iron out, that's his bit. Then we can put it into animal liquid, put it into the hydrocolloids. So we're creating more from less. But we need more downstream users, and we can't do that until we actually get enough volume to test it. Does that answer the question?
Thanks. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Anne. Arne, Clifford, are there any questions from your side? Clifford.
Yeah, I can go. In some ways, you're trying to sort of shift away seaweed is sort of harvested and then taken to the users. Do you see the need for supplementary infrastructure investments by your clients to be able to handle? Because I think previously they would be handling maybe the seaweed itself, but now they have to handle a product that's in liquid form or in solid form. Does it require additional infrastructure investments for them?
No, in fact, it's going to be a lot easier. It would be very unusual for customers to have fresh seaweed. As I mentioned, it decays so very quickly. Traditionally, seaweed would be supplied either frozen or dried. Frozen seaweed obviously needs defrosting, and you've got a complicated issue, but it does retain all the nutrients. Dried seaweed loses so much capacity, and as I mentioned, 55% is in liquid form because they prefer it in liquid form, but it's dried stock that's rehydrated. But in that drying process, which is heat and enough to kill off the bioactives, you lose so much. What we're doing is providing the liquid much easier methodology to put into their systems, to put into a food base, to put into animal feed. We can also supply dry, so don't forget we've got after the liquid has been taken off, the dried stock, we will still look for the hydrocolloids, we'll look for the long strand sugars, we'll look at the polysaccharides. So it depends on the market sector we're looking for, the way they want to present it. Because it's in liquid form, we can even look at going down to nano spray for, I've seen it being applied to crisps and things, because in liquid form it's a lot easier. When it's in a solid or a dried or a slurry, very difficult to manage. But it's going to open a lot of opportunities. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, and we are 2 years away really to getting that revenue stream, but it's there. And what we're looking at is in-country application. We're looking at every country with a coastline has a need for food, feed, and fertilizer. So addressing those basic needs is the first step. Getting more sophisticated, getting more savvy with how we separate and how we start to put the membranes for filtration and what we can retain opens up more opportunities for us. Does that answer the question?
I think so. Arne, was there anything from you, or else I will close off otherwise? Go ahead.
Maybe just one thing might just be me that missed it, but is that also the main reason for this decentralized model of having 10 production units, to have it directly on the beaches and on the on site, or why otherwise would you choose for this model of having 10 different production units instead of, for example, one big one where you only have one process that you have to manage?
I'm going to give you this as an anecdotal little tale. My seaweed that I was growing year before last, 2020, it's like a big washing line in the ocean. It's a mile, the length. As it lifts up, the weight of the seaweed is hanging like a washing line, and you get a boat going underneath it. Now, the fishing guys, it wasn't scientific, but they do know their weights. They know and understand what sort of weight is to be anticipated. So they calculated that my stock on the line was well over a ton in weight, based on their experience. Once it was cut, once it was brought to land, once it was transported to a centralized position, and I'm talking maybe 2.5 hours away, not massively great distance, but in that time, before drying, the wet weight was recorded at 321 kilos. It had lost that amount of biomass in liquid form. But that liquid form is exactly this. We've captured it. So we've already captured almost 70% of what's currently being lost. But also within that, we're capturing those micronutrients. So it's a massive win. Having small units, the economics of this makes sense because these small units on a franchise basis are accessible to these owner-operators. In the region of 150,000 complete unit, they will earn that back, they will pay themselves salary, they'll be able to employ people, which they're not at the moment. It's back-breaking work, cutting 10, 20, 30 tons. We say make your work easier, get people working with you, work smarter, not harder, and they will pay themselves a good salary and have a 10% profit return on investment every year. We anticipate, based on the figures that I'm looking at and based on the yields, which still have to be proven, but we're looking at each unit turning over €1 million per year.
Thank you, Anne.
And it's a cookie cutter approach, so it's fully replicable, whether it's in Ireland, in Portugal. Portugal are very interested, but it's all a question of legislation policy. I'm talking to policymakers in Portugal, in Spain, in even Sweden, Norway, because once we get legal access to this near shore, once we can demonstrate, as we can, the environmental impact being positive, not negative, and the fact that it can absorb carbon, we can get blue carbon credit. There's lots of opportunity here. Perfect. And as I say, it is the big topic.
Thank you, Anne. What a great moment to end on from our startups. I'd like to leave it there and thank all the startups, including starting with Vienna Textile Lab, Karin Fleck, Greenroads Malta, Claire Ciancio, WeCo Toilet from Cecile, Electric Avenue by David Harpur, MakeGrowLab by Roza Brito, AgroSustain from Olga Dubey, HySiLabs by Bélen Moreno, and finally Redrose Developments by Ann Ruddy. I'd like to thank also our investors, Andre, Richard, Arne, and Clifford. And we'll leave it there. Thank you everyone for attending.